Welcome to At the Going Down of the Sun. While researching Captain Edmund Baskett, I also discovered that his cousin is Robert Gordon Cuthbert, who appears on the War Memorial list at St Mary's Church in Mendlesham. Robert served as a private in the Australian Infantry Regiment 28th Battalion, part of the Australian Imperial Force. And I also discovered that Edmund's brother Charles Baskett had been in the Australian Imperial Force too, although the Baskett family had moved to New Zealand. Charles had served with the 15th Australian Light Horse Regiment with the rank of driver. Charles, Edmund, Robert and Robert's brother Sidney had all been born in the area around Mendlesham and Wetheringset, south of the town of Eye in Suffolk. The Basketts had sailed to New Zealand in 1884 when Charles was 9 and Edmund was almost 2 years old. Robert and Sidney Cuthbert had emigrated to Australia as 23 and 24-year-olds, arriving in Western Australia at a port called Albany on the southern coast, before starting farming, probably either wheat or sheep, at a settlement called Waggin, which is roughly halfway to Perth on the west coast of Australia. Australia had 2 referendums in 1916 and 1917. On both occasions the public decided against conscription, meaning that all of the people who answered the call across the British Empire from Australia were volunteers. Robert decided to join the army on the 4th of April 1916, which was after the Battle of Gallipoli. Robert probably joined the battle-hardened troops in Egypt, or possibly went straight to the Western Front where the 28th Battalion arrived and took part in the Battle of Pouzières in July and August 1916, before removing to the Ypres area and then on to the Somme, where they were used in support and reinforcement roles at Bullecourt, Menin Road, Brood-Sindy and Pol-Capelle. Just after Christmas 1917, Robert died from his wounds aged 32 at the No. 2 Australian Casualty Clearing Section, 4 miles behind the front lines at Steenwerk in France. He is buried at the Troy-Abbey Cemetery around 15 miles west of the town of Lille. Robert's cousin Charles Baskett had joined up about 1 year before Robert's death, just before Christmas 1916, but didn't have to report to Menangle Park Camp Racecourse 40 miles southwest of Sydney until the 1st of February 1917. He became a member of the Australian Imperial Camel Corps. Around that time they were mounting patrols in the Libyan desert from their base near Cairo. Charles probably joined the 4th Anzac Battalion in time for the Battle of Beersheba on October 31st, 1917, capturing the Ottoman Empire garrison as the southern Palestine offensive in Sinai in Palestine began near Gaza, before moving on to Jaffa and Jerusalem on the 9th of December 1917, pushing the Turkish forces back. As the fighting continued in 1918 with the First Battle of Amman, where the Anzac captured a hill overlooking the city, but withdrew after 24 hours due to artillery and infantry attacks. They were then sent to defend a crossing point on the River Jordan. As the Commonwealth forces pressed north into Syria, the terrain changed and became more suitable for horses. The Imperial Camel Corps was disbanded, and Robert would have been sent to the newly formed 15th Australian Light Horse Regiment, who were mounted infantry. They used rifles despite the cavalry designation, not swords and lances. They exclusively rode the New South Whaler horse breed. Fighting at Megiddo in September 1918, and entering Damascus on the 1st of October 1918. Unfortunately, Charles became infected with dysentery, a parasitic or bacterial disease, and despite treatment in the Turkish hospital in Damascus, he died on the 13th of October 1918, aged 41, and was buried in a Commonwealth War Grave cemetery there, just 2 weeks before the death of his brother Edmund in Nigeria from new influenza, which was also rife in Damascus. His family in New Zealand would have known of the armistice on the 11th of November 1918, and it was probably after this date that they learned that 2 of their sons had died from disease in Palestine and Africa, instead of coming home at the end of the war. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.